Alright, my guys, I'm back! And today we're going to be reacting to 14 horror stories animated. So y'all just chill back, kick your feet up, man, have a good time. We gonna get straight into this.
I'm not much of a storyteller, so bear with me. During the 90s, I went through a very rough time in my life. After a failed marriage, I became a bit of a nomad, wandering across country on foot with no particular destination. It was a stupid idea, but I was in a very hopeless place back then, and just looking to experience something new. I've been traveling down South Dakota and hitched a ride with a truck driver into Nebraska. For those of you who have never been to that state, there are large sections of land that go on for miles with nothing but cornfields lining either side of the road. We split ways at a rest stop, and I made my way into what I now know to be the Sand Hills of Nebraska. The Sand Hills region is one of the most isolated areas in the United States, 20,000 square miles.
Man, I'm not walking that far, dude. Look how far that is, my guy. That's a long walk. Yeah, man. You need to exercise.
Of nothing but dunes and prairies. I planned on hitchhiking my way to the nearest town and catching a bus to visit a friend I had in Omaha. But I found out the hard way that this stretch of road was not ideal for hitchhiking. I barely saw any cars going down this road, and the ones that did completely ignored me. 12 hours had passed, and I was running low on food and water.
What did he say? What did he say? Not just say 12 hours. Alright, first off, what he did wrong so far. I'm gonna give y'all tips and tricks on how to survive with your boy Young. Alright, check me out, You don't hitchhike, okay? Listen, are you listening? Listen closely, okay? You don't hitchhike. Don't put your finger out. You're gonna be catching the wrong ride. You're not gonna be making it back home. Second off, you should have plenty of water to have made sure that he had that right, okay? But no, I'm just going ahead and let it continue. I see what he does.
I was utterly exhausted at this point, and I needed to find a place to rest for a while. I had about an hour left of daylight. Lucky for me, I happened to come upon an old farmhouse that was situated about a half-mile away from the main road. From a distance, I thought this place may have been occupied, but when I got closer, it was clear to me that this house was abandoned. This was around the fall, so weather in Nebraska wasn't terrible. However, the nights were a bit on the cold side, so I decided to hold up in this house for the night and continue my journey the next day. I had enough supplies to last me one more night. The house was your typical rotting husk. Smelled like mold, severe water damage, creaking floors, etc. The living room seemed to be the only decent place to settle down at, so I unpacked my sleeping bag and eventually dozed off.
I didn't expect that to just run across. What are you sleeping on the floor for, my guy? Okay. If you ought to pick a situation, hitchhike, or lay down on the floor in a random farm. Y'all got about 20 seconds to pick that. In the comment below, y'all got about 20 seconds. Okay, done.
I woke up to the sound of floorboards creaking. I immediately sat up and listened. I could hear several pairs of footsteps thudding all around the house. They were coming from upstairs, downstairs, on the back porch outside, and...
Hey, yo, my God, you're hearing that from up there, here, and down. Man, I'm hopping straight out the window. I'm talking about straight diving through the window. Okay, let's see what he did.
Even in the same room with me, but I didn't see a thing. I quickly got to my feet and walked over to the nearest window and peered out. What I saw was truly alarming and sent a wave of nausea through my entire body. Several cloaked figures were standing side by side. They appeared to be encircling the house. Because of the footsteps I heard, I thought there may have been people in the house with me. So in an effort to defuse things, I made another big brain decision and spoke up. Hello? I'm sorry if I'm trespassing. I was just looking for a place to rest for the night. I thought this place was abandoned. Again,
Alright, y'all. Let me explain to you what this man... There is no talking, my guy. Where is my AK-47? I'm letting it spray the whole area. I'm going upstairs, downstairs, all up. But he doesn't have a gun. So, okay. Here I am. Walking. I'm gonna do a reacting to that one. Okay.
I'm sorry. All the footsteps stopped at once. An eerie silence followed. It was so quiet that I could have heard a mouse shitting in the corner. I got this real bad feeling in my gut, so I reached into my backpack and pulled out my hunting knife. I gathered the rest of my things and slowly moved out into the hallway. Aside from the mysterious figures outside, I was also thinking of what was making those footsteps inside the house. As I said, I heard several footsteps when I woke up, so I figured it wouldn't be long before I ran into someone inside the house. But after combing the entire downstairs, I didn't see or hear anything. I could tell something was very off. That bad feeling I mentioned earlier intensified, despite the fact that I knew there was a bunch of weirdos in cloaks waiting for me outside. Something told me that if I didn't leave the house that very moment, something terrible was going to happen to me.
Man, you better start stabbing.
The house was located in a wide open clearing. Beyond the clearing was a barrier of tall grass. When I left through the front door, I stopped directly in front of the house. No matter which direction I looked, I saw another hooded menace blocking my way. I suddenly felt this heat on my back. I quickly turned around. I cannot explain how this happened. Moments before, I was inside that house, walking around, and it was now on fire. I backed away. I decided I was going to run through the figures and get the hell out of Dodge. But when I turned back around, the figures were nowhere in sight. Things were getting way too bizarre for me at that point. The only thing I knew for sure was that I had to get the fuck out of that place.
That's what I'm saying, my guy. You don't just sit there and contemplate. I would have ran. I'm talking about straight dipping through the forest. Go.
When I got back out to the main road, I didn't stop walking until I finally got to a town, whose name I can't remember. The rest of my time in Nebraska went well, and I got my life together shortly after I got back home from my trip. As long as I live, I'll never forget that old farmhouse and those mysterious cloaked figures. This incident still baffles me to this day, but perhaps some things are best left unanswered.
Alright guys, if you enjoyed that information, not that information. If you enjoyed that animation, we're gonna go on to the next one. Let's get straight. This is the next animation. I think this is the summer camp edition.
The scariest night of my entire life was a close encounter with a later confirmed murderer when I was camping with my boyfriend in the mountains.
Oh, we're seeing it from the girl.
It ended with us running for our lives down the mountain and
bro, she looks exhausted. Like, do you see her face, dude? She looks tired, like.
the pitch black clutching knives and a hammer for self-protection. It was the end of 2018, our first getaway together as a couple. We went to the Appalachian Trail in Virginia. We were naive. We thought it would be more romantic to camp out as far off the beaten track as possible. We walked really far into the wilderness and got to a spot where nobody passed us all afternoon. We were making s'mores over the campfire after it had just got dark. It was twilight. All of a sudden, my boyfriend saw a man approaching us slowly. He was creeping up on us.
Alright, my guy, you go that way, I go this way, okay? And we're gonna run around, and we're gonna sock him right there, okay? See, I go that way, man.
First, we thought it was a park ranger coming to tell us to put out our campfire.
I don't care.
I began to hide the weed, thinking this was our biggest concern. My boyfriend called out to him. "Hey, can I help you?" We thought it was weird that he didn't have any kind of light on him. She didn't have any camping bag. Nothing for camping. Why was he out here so far with no
Look at this man chappy lips. It ain't no talking with him. He going straight to fighting. He either gonna eat your booty cheeks. I mean, don't look normal.
camping gear at night
Don't look
with
normal.
no light? He sped up after my boyfriend called out and came right at him.
Dude.
He had this strange look in his eyes. The look was absent, blank, and weird. He didn't answer my boyfriend. He just kept walking right at him. Red flags going off at this point. When my boyfriend realized that it wasn't a park ranger, he quickly put his hand in his pocket where he had a concealed knife. He made it clear that he had a weapon. It was only after my boyfriend did this that the guy acknowledged us. He said something weird. "Oh, I was just wondering if y'all were having a party." Remember,
Don't care. Socked him right in his face.
we were miles away from a single soul, and it was beginning to get dark when he began to approach us slowly without a flashlight. He had no camping gear with him, just a tiny drawstring bag on his back. After he asked what we were doing, we didn't give him any answers but asked what was going on.
Man, I'm down here.
He didn't
You keep
answer.
looking up there, man. Man.
He just looked past my boyfriend towards the site. It was windy, so we had put up a tarp to shield ourselves. This also meant that the guy approaching couldn't see how many people were at our site. He asked, "How many people you got with ya?" He began to circle our site to check us out.
It don't matter.
He asked again if
don't.
we had any other people with us, and my boyfriend didn't answer. He carried on, circling around our camp. Now bear in mind, we had set up our camp on this crazy steep hill. It was the only spot for miles that was possible to put a camp. However, he told us that he was going to set up camp nearby. He proceeded to walk off in that direction straight up the hill. We knew for a fact he couldn't put a
Heck
campsite
no.
there because of the terrain. Remember, he had no light and no bag with camp
Hey, Google. Stop. Okay, that was one timer for like...
gear. Nothing. We were silent. We listened to his footsteps on the leaves as he walked up the hill in the direction completely off the path. He walked for about 30 seconds, and then his footsteps stopped completely. He was just still, silent. We knew he was still there, but we couldn't see him. It was dark. At this point, I was freaking out. I didn't want to seem like a baby in front of my boyfriend. We had to talk about whether we needed to leave. My boyfriend handed me a knife and said, if anything happens to me, I should run. At this point, I knew it wasn't just me freaking out unnecessarily. He said that we needed to get out of there and just to grab essential items. I was scared that he was about to shoot us dead. Later on, when I told my boyfriend this, he said no. This is the type of guy who would probably prefer to stab his victims to death. We began to walk, kind of run down the trail in the pitch black with our lights off.
Walking, I'm forward, you Swain. Bolton down there, my guy. He's just sitting in there. He's literally sitting in the middle of the woods where you don't know where he is. They had a long enough conversation. Hey, man. Hey. He'd be like, hey. Y'all got anything to eat? Y'all got people with you? Hey, man. Don't worry about it. They say, man. I'm leaving. And I'm gonna trip him. Alright, as he was walking around the camp. Trip him, do a sidewalk, jump over there, do it over his head, and then boom, leave, run.
For at least a mile. My boyfriend looked back to see him, staring at one point. He ran behind me to protect me. This experience stuck with me. I still can't think of a rational or non-menacing reason why that guy was out there that night. I've tried. Now this was the end of 2018, but my boyfriend, now husband, and I were remembering it last night. I decided to type in Google if there had been any murders in the same place around the same time. And there was. A few months after our incident on the same trail, an unhinged man with crazy eyes approached some hikers at twilight as it was getting dark. He behaved in a deranged and aggressive manner, before stabbing a man to death with a 17-inch knife. A woman he was with ran for her life down the trail. Finally, she raised her hands in surrender, and he began to stab her. Somehow,
Don't let it get too far. Man, he talking about knock him right in his teeth, man. Knock his jaws right off his mouth. Yeah, man.
She managed to get away. The killer carried on wandering the trail and shouted out to other campers to give him a flashlight. They didn't, thank goodness. All of these details are the same as the guy who approached us. Same age, same deranged eyes, same lack of flashlight, same time to approach us, same look, same place. The more articles I read, the more I realize this psychopath had been roaming the trails harassing hikers for a while. A few different people had reported him, not just us. Apparently this erratic and violent psychopath was well known to law enforcement along the Appalachian Trail. His name is James Sovereign Jordan. We got lucky. It could have been us.
October 10th, 1999.
Alright, I'm gonna sneak out one more. Just one more. I love y'all. I'm gonna sneak out one more. One more animation in there. Going to the third one. Hey man. Say man, I'm back. This is the third animation. This is 2-sentence horror stories.
Number 1. I was having a pleasant dream when what sounded like hammering woke me. After that, I could barely hear the muffled sound of dirt covering the coffin over my own screen.
Why is his mouth open so loud? Okay.
Number 2.
Nasty.
I woke up to hear knocking on glass. At first, I thought it was the window, until I heard it come from the mirror again.
Hey, yo.
Number 3. There was a picture in my phone of me sleeping.
Dude, I mean, do I even just imagine, like, laying your head somewhere that somebody's already been? You're just sleeping, laying down. This man right here, you, come on, come with me. Yeah, FBI, get him.
I live alone. Number 4. My wife woke me up last night to tell me there was an intruder in her house. She was murdered by an intruder 2 years ago.
See that scary man back there? Hold on.
Number 4. My wife woke me up last night to tell me there was an intruder in her house. She was murdered by an intruder 2 years ago.
Look at back there, right there. You saw him?
Number 5. I never go to sleep, but I keep waking up.
We're gonna leave it right there. If you guys enjoyed this episode for tonight, man, hit that smash button. I'm gonna try to upload more often, about like 15 of them. I don't know. And then this year is a